Hi, I'm Psittacosaurus and welcome back to another video. Today we're building a Psittacosaurus meerkat style enclosure as voted by you in my community post. I know it's for the Equilops originally, but I decided to change species because it didn't fit in this massive enclosure, so I hope you enjoy. Yeah, so like I just said, originally this was going to be for the Equilops because to me they look like kind of the meerkat of the dinosaurs in my opinion, so that was my original plan, and then as I sort of started building, I kind of realized they're just tiny. They're really small, and I built this enclosure probably too big to suit the Equilops. And I know it's not what you guys voted for, but I mean I'm still making a meerkat enclosure. So in a way, I'm still following through with the original idea. It's just a different species, I suppose. Well, technically, the Psittacosaurus is more of an Asian species, and this is supposed to be sort of a North American or South American area in the zoo. But I think it's okay. I think we'll just let that slide. It doesn't always have to be themed around the area that it's put. You can make little creative liberties here and there. There probably was Psittacosaurus in the Americas, in some areas, so I think I can kind of let it slide for a bit. Now I am making a sort of, you could say, meerkat style viewing glass wall that surrounds the end of the habitat. There's two viewing sections of the fence that are designed so you can see in. So I think it gives you like a really nice sort of view of the enclosure, just from like a more ground perspective. And as you can tell, I've been using the new glass pieces a lot lately. Like pretty much all my builds since the update came out are glass, involving the new glass pieces. I was originally going to use the, I'd say you could call it the terrarium glass pieces. They're more like terrarium looking, that you'd have like in front of a reptile terrarium, something like that. But I decided to go with these ones because they're a bit easier to use and they don't have those sort of support struts at the end of them, so I can sort of make my own to suit the size that I want. Big inspiration for this enclosure was the meerkat enclosure at the Chester Zoo. I'll put an image of that now, and also just like general meerkat enclosures in other zoos, just like little bits. Usually meerkats are in African style habitats, but since this is the American area, I went for more of like a, I don't know what you'd call it, slightly on the Asian side of foliage, but it's more kind of like brushland, bog. I don't know if you call it bog, sort of swampy type stuff, but it's not like swamp as in like the water area of a swamp. It's more like the sort of, I suppose, plains that would be near swamps. That's kind of my idea. There's a lot of the rebuff grass in it, you'll see later. It's kind of annoying because I was really looking forward to making a meerkat enclosure for the Equilops since it came out. That was my big idea for it, but then I decided to do it and I realised they're just too small, and maybe that would suit Emerald Valley more because Emerald Valley is quite small. Like the scale of everything is small, so maybe I might do that either on camera or off camera, just because I would like to have like an Equilops meerkat enclosure, like a proper one. Now I'm just making these sort of high walls that you're not supposed to be able to look through, and then I put some planters beside these. I don't know if I show that or not eventually, but I put some planters on the guest side to sort of break up just the blank wall that goes across. And to be honest, I'm really liking how this new zoo, I suppose you could say, series is going, even though it's only episode 2. And it wasn't even supposed to be a series, it was just supposed to be a standalone build, but I'm actually really liking it, and how it's going. I've already planned like a lot of it out, so I'm not like overwhelmed with the layout or anything. I've kind of done that separately off camera just to help myself kind of plan everything for the future so I don't get sort of bogged up with the small details early on. Now I'm using the wood pieces from the Utah Raptor fence, and I'm just putting these on the side of the concrete wall, like just to add some wood elements, because there's a lot of wood in this park. It's kind of the main material, aside from like stone and concrete, etc. So I wanted to add that in here. Now we're starting on the back wall of the enclosure. I was originally going to do like a rock wall, but I just don't like rock walls, I'm going to be honest. I've tried doing rock walls and having enclosures, just something about it. It looks too natural, it looks too kind of wild, and always struggle with how do I tie that in with the rest of the zoo, so I decided not to do that. The next video is the ornithomimus enclosure, ostrich ornithomimus enclosure. Very exciting, it's very big. You may have seen little bits of it kind of pop up, like the plan, the layout of it. It's quite big. It might be the biggest enclosure I've ever done, even though from a guest perspective in this park it's not that big. Like if I put that enclosure size in Emerald Valley it'd be massive, but here it's actually kind of a decent size. It's not like huge, but it's not like small either, so I think it's a lot easier to build bigger enclosures in this series, and it doesn't look too big as well. It's perfect. I'm excited to start working on that in the next episode. Going forward, things might slow down a bit because I'm sort of getting back to school, and my schedule this year will be a lot harder, a lot more sort of work involved, so I may not be able to get videos out as frequently. Maybe you might be looking at every 2 weeks or so. I know it's a bit of a shame, but I think that's just the only way I can manage both school and YouTube, you know, because I still want to make videos, but I also don't want to let that get in the way of life, you know. So just a warning. Making the most of the time I have off left, so you know, I try to get a couple videos out before I go back, so you guys, you know, don't get too bored. And also, a lot of people have been subscribing lately, and it's nice to see, because my channel went through this long period of just no growth. It was just like stuck on the same number for so long, so it's really nice to see a lot of people subscribing. And if you haven't already, subscribe, you know, just to plug my channel a bit, you know. I don't really do it very often, but I think I want to get to the point where maybe might have like 200 subscribers by next month-ish, you know. That'd be nice, just so I can start getting out to people more as well. And maybe a subscriber goal could be like 500 by the end of the year, and I may start like a Discord server or something like that, you know. We'll see. I'm not gonna go for it quite yet, but we might decide to do that. Probably wondering what I'm doing here. In the reference, there's this thing called like a Merkat enclosure dome, like a viewing dome, where you can crawl into a tube, and then you can go up into this like dome, and you can look at the Merkats from a ground view. But I realised the glass pieces don't really lend themselves to be used in that way, so I end up just leaving this tunnel to imply that there is something there, but it doesn't connect to anything. Just thought I'd show you, just so you could see what I was doing. And now I'm starting the floor for the shelter. I end up getting rid of these. This is just a rough floor plan, and I do change it off camera, as I usually do. The end shape ends up being more like a L shape, and it's sort of there's like a indoor enclosure, you could say. It's not really like a shelter in a way. It's more of just an indoor enclosure, and then the sort of bit that sticks out from that is the hod shelter, you could call it, the where they would go during like storms or breeding or nighttime. So that's more of like a sort of very not natural looking shelter, to just keep them safe from whatever they need to be kept safe from. To help tie in this shelter with the building I built for the Utah Raptor enclosure, I used these stone pieces at the bottom, just to kind of help everything mold together, because I noticed at the end the shelter looks very different from the architecture I did in the last video, so I wanted to just put a bit more emphasis on the theme of this area. And you can see I'm using corrugated iron. I do change that off camera, again, I know I do that a lot, but it's good to you guys see my thought process, whether it's actually going to be in the video or not, like in the end cinematics. But I do keep the corrugated metal on the inside wall, so that's what the Psittacosauruses would see, because I feel like it's a bit more hardy in case they start like scratching at it or poking their head into it or whatever. It's just a bit more sturdy. Something I'd like to know as well is, do my builds inspire you guys? Like, do you watch this and think, oh, I might do that in my park, or I might kind of take ideas from? Like, I'm just curious because I'm not saying I really necessarily need to know. I don't really mind whether you take inspiration. I'm just curious if you do or not, because it'd be nice to know if my builds are actually helping you guys, whether they're helping you build something, or you might copy elements, or you might, just general inspiration. I'm just curious. To let me guys know if you do. This is a metal trim I use for the top. That's something I got from another meerkat enclosure. I believe it the Houston Zoo, the meerkat enclosure shelter, and it has this like really nice black trim at the top. So I just copy that and put that here. It's nice to take elements from other stuff, not just one build, because you end up just completely ripping it off, and it just looks like, for example, the Chester Zoo meerkat enclosure is in my park. Don't really want that. I want that to be my own thing. So I just take elements from multiple things rather than one. Kind of surprising when I was recording this. This was supposed to be a nice short video to get out quickly, but it ended up being quite a long build. Like the recording alone was an hour and a half, and I slimmed it down, and off camera was about half an hour, so about a 2 hour build, which is quite surprising. You know, it's not a massive build. There aren't too much big things going on in it, so it's quite surprising. And the Utah Raptor took about, I'd say, maybe an hour and a half to do for that enclosure, and that's a lot bigger. Obviously, it's actually less than this. This took 2 hours, that took an hour and a half, so it's quite surprising. I'm probably guessing the Ornithomimus enclosure will probably take 3 hours, I reckon, because it's so big and there's a lot of planning involved. I'm kind of happy you guys voted for the meerkat enclosure, because the Ornithomimus enclosure would take too long. I wouldn't have time at the moment to do it. So that's something I'm going to have to work at, you know, in my own time. So it's good you guys picked the quicker option, because it gets you guys another video to watch before that comes out, just so you're not waiting as long. And I might do more of that sort of thing where I do like polls. The only problem is I have to have like more than one enclosure planned already. So, because for me, I like to plan things one at a time, but I enjoyed having two builds planned, because it's like, as soon as I build this, I still have something else to build, so I'm not just like twiddling my thumbs for like a few days until the next build idea comes to me. So I might do more of that, where I plan like 2 or 3 closures, pre-plan them before I even start filming, and then I can give you guys like a voting choice whether you want to see this first or something else. So yeah, I might do more of that. This is the rock work stage. Usually I would do like a music section of this, but today I'm feeling a bit different, so I'm gonna voice over this a bit. This is quite a cool part. I see a lot of like ant hills or termite hills or cockroach colony, I don't know what you'd call them, I suppose, hills, not cockroach, but just roaches in general. And you see that a lot in like meerkat enclosures, because the meerkats would generally eat the ants, and they would have a lot of ant hills around them in the wild in Africa. So just wanted to put that in. Actually, I mean Madagascar, sorry. Didn't mean, I mean Africa as well, but like Madagascar was the main one. And also another thing as well, a lot of anteaters would be cohabbed with meerkats in a lot of enclosure, a lot of zoos. So having like ant hills or pretend ant hills just gives the anteaters a bit of enrichment as well. So I'm talking about a lot about future stuff, but if you guys have any name suggestions for this zoo, I mean, I don't really want to quite name it yet fully, because I feel like that takes away the sort of unpredictability of the zoo. You know, I want to just go with the flow. So, but if you have any suggestions, so I can kind of have an idea, then definitely put them in the comments. I'll definitely look at those. The foliage for the indoor habitat. As you can see, there's like that bit that sticks out the side there. That's the hard shelter. That's for like storms and breeding, like I explained earlier. This is just the indoor enclosure, so like during winter, they would spend a lot of time in here probably. Now I'm getting some blueprints. This is actually something I made a long time ago, maybe 4, 5, 6 months ago, and it was overwrapped a small like cage enclosure, aviary enclosure, I guess you could say. And I made these little like enrichment shelter pieces and sort of a climbing frame thing. So I decided, instead of making it separately for this video, just use something I've already built. So I just put those in there. I think they look really nice. You'd often see that sort of thing in a Merkat indoor enclosure, like climbing stuff, because it just keeps them entertained instead of being like bored. Because during winter they wouldn't be able to go very far in the indoor enclosure, so it just gives them a bit more enrichment, I suppose you could say. Now this is me working on the hard shelter part of the indoor enclosure. So this is I do change this. I feel like I'm like a broken record. I say this a lot. I change this off camera, but this is something I change off camera because it's just not really that fun to watch me delete what I've already built and then move it, so I just don't really show that. This is the roof, corrugated metal, just to keep it within theme of the rest of the park. Well, not really park, more of just like a beginning zoo stuff. I have to think about the next section of the zoo, because this is the Americas section. I still need to think of like a proper corny theming name for this, like Ancient America, or like the Americas, or Prehistorica, or something like that. I'll think about it. But probably the next section will probably be Asian, or maybe European, because not many people do like European dinosaur sections, so that could be quite cool. It'd probably be like Eurasian. It probably won't be just European, because I can only really think of three. Is like, I think Jurrasic, Iguanodon, and I think Allosaurus was European, like English, mostly European. But I suppose I could do Eurasian, so I can mix in some Asian and European to make it a bit more interesting. So I'll probably do that. Getting quite close to the end. I mean, not for another couple of minutes, but I feel like this video was very plain sailing. I think I got the voiceover done very quickly for this. I really enjoyed it, actually. This is the roof that I sort of made, and then I decided to change it because I didn't really like how it looked from the ground view. Just a bit weird looking, to be honest. I end up going for like a flat sort of window, like you can see I'm doing here. My favourite part of this enclosure was probably the shelter. The whole enclosure I really enjoyed making, but the shelter is just something about it. It's just really nice looking. It's very like modern, but still has that sort of rustic look, so I like that. The only thing is, I don't know how I'm going to continue that in the rest of the park, because the next build I have planned after ornithomimous's enclosure is sort of a more classical style building, I guess you could say. Not like classical, but it'd be like brick sort of thing, almost like the Tropical House video. Kind of similar, sort of. I'm not going to like commit to that quite yet, but it's going to be, I suppose, similar-ish colours, so I don't know how I'm going to continue this sort of theme in the rest of the park, but we'll see. And we are almost at the end of the video. Yes, we are pretty much there. So hope you enjoyed. This was really fun to make. Something I've wanted to do for a long time, even though originally it was a Quilops, but I really enjoyed making this. Like an idea I've had since the Rebirth pack came out. And the Psittacosaurus is actually a really cool looking dino. I love the quills on its tail. It's very cool. And actually this is my last minute tree implementing, because I forgot to put trees in it, so that's just like a last minute thing I did.